Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Customs on the YouTube. Dave here in the garage, as usual. Area 51. Got to find something to do this week. Got a couple of things to get on with, but I think we might do a little bit of been over here investigating this boogery here, so we'll get into that. I think cut it out. To subscribe if you're new to the channel, that'd be awesome. Like, share, comment, let us know where you're from down in the comments, and yeah, that'd be cool. And follow along on the build. We're starting to make some gains. It's starting to look like something. Last week we were on the old Franken boot lid. It's not quite so Frankenish anymore. There's still a lot of blemishes and stuff in it, but we'll get there with the next stage of this process, I guess. So anyway, this area here, when I got the car, if you've watched some of the other further back videos, this patch panel was already done by the previous owner on both sides, and the sills and parts of the floors had been done as well. But this side here was wonky. It was kind of going up on an angle, running uphill towards the back, so I had to cut it off and kind of do it again. I kind of contributed to some of the mess that was already there, but we'll smooth that out before we go too far. But down here, it had been kind of ground a bit thin, and I tried to put a little patch in, and I tried to kind of do it, and I didn't go far enough out and get rid of the really thin kind of spotty stuff, you know. So I kind of tried to fill it up with weld, as you can see, and it didn't really work. So my plan for this go around is to possibly like cut this out and make a new piece, to just cut it out and clean it all up in one go, rather than mess around with, you know, trying to deal with thin steel and shit like that, and kind of try and do it a better job than I got fed up with it basically, and I just kind of like put my head in the sand and walked away from it, you know, and left it like that, and I shouldn't have, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're gonna have a crack at making up a new patch panel for there. We'll cut out all that ugliness and hopefully make a nice repair. And I'll make a kind of patch sort of on the bench. There's a dent right there. This is where my cord's been rubbing on. Don't worry about that. So hopefully we'll kind of make up a nicer kind of patch panel to replace that kind of ugly stuff. But I'll make up a piece, and then I'll set about kind of cutting it out. Or do I cut it out first? I'll make the piece oversized from what I think I'm going to need, and then I'll cut this piece out and then trim back and make it all fit. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it, because I want it would be cool if I could make it out of one piece, but I'd need to make bucks and presses and all sorts of stuff. But we might just set about making up some template of some sort and go from there, I guess. Okay, so let's get some template material, some cardboard. That'll do us. So right, need some drawing devices and some scissoring devices. Yeah, some scissors, pencil, that'd be quite handy. Is it sharp enough? Yep. A ruler, and let's go. Okay, so looking at this in better light, you can see where my dilemma is, you know, like this gap's never going to be any good, so I'm thinking I might just have to kind of come down to take all of this out, you know. I mean, look at the state of that, but that'll smooth out, but you know, it's not really ideal. It's a shame, because it was a, you know, a good patch panel that kind of got a bit of butchered up between me and the last fella, but we're both learning. We're both doing something. So my door curve is kind of real on point, so I might use that as my kind of starting point for my template, and take it from there. I'll just get me a piece of cardboard ready. I'll get there eventually. Alright, how am I going to do this? I'll go like that. Is that going to get me where I wanted? No, I should have jammed it in a bit further. Hang on, I'll cut a piece out. Might as well try and do it straightish. So you should put some marks on where that template starts and finishes, really. About there-ish. What next? Get the door out the way. So I want to, so that's the door edge, so I want to add a bit to all of that to make my door gap like that. Yeah, okay, I wonder if I could do that out of one piece with hammering and stretching and stuff like that, but I'm going to have a fold and then another fold, and that'd be real tricky. It's tricky. Right, I'll go back over to the bench and do some more drawing on that. If we got like 14 mil, mark on there, 14. Better go and check some stuff. Okay, change of plan. I'm going to make this template out of multiple pieces, because there's some strange changes of sizing and stuff on the turn downs, which I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, so that's my, hopefully my outer edge. Get a piece of cardboard, rollers, scissors, and go back. Okay, so if you look at that, there's that turn down there is kind of pretty consistent. It steps in a bit here. I don't know whether that's part of the problem with what's going on here or whether they did that, and then it flares out back down here. And there's all my hammer marks and shit. But so what I'm going to have to do is make a second piece for the turn down to make a template from. So I might end up welding like 3 pieces together, possibly, but we will see. Yeah, so I'm going to make my next bit now somehow. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it yet, but so how's that's going to work? Will that work? No, that's not going to work the way I thought it was. Need some more cardboard. Okay, so when I made this initially and I pushed it on there, it actually puckered it and distorted it quite considerably, which I didn't actually notice until just now. Lucky I checked that and didn't go ahead and start trying to make it based around how I kind of pressed that piece of cardboard to the door. Someone probably spotted that and was about to go, "What are you doing, man? Got that wrong." So hopefully now that's closer to what we're doing. Yeah, like that. Yeah. Right. So, alright, I might go and cut these out of a couple of bits of metal. I want to see if I can make that out of one piece. I might have to cut some little reliefs in it maybe, or if I can stretch out that back edge maybe. We'll see how we go. Oh, cut some bits out of there or stretch that edge to get it to fold up where we want to fold it. Because that's almost a 90 fold there, but then the crease kind of like flares out a bit as it comes down through here, so we shall see. Okay, so got me a couple of bits of steel, one bit of electrical, one bit of cold rolled. I'm going to use this bit of electrical on the outer edge. It's a little bit smaller than my template, but I've made this template sort of bigger to trim back. I'll go and double check that actually before I commit. I don't know now. Might have to find another piece. Okay, so I'm going to use a clean piece. I'm not going to scrimp on it. I'll go straight into it with cutting out of here somewhere. We can get it out of economically, something like that. Might just cut a chunk off of this just to make it more manageable than dealing with that. Alright, there's my two pieces essentially, hopefully. Yeah? I'm going to cut those out nicely. I'd love to have some of those shears. I missed out on a set on Marketplace a couple of years ago. I saw them on there and I procrastinated and I missed out. I should have bought them. They were only like $100. Some deceased estate thing, or the husband passed away or something, and there was these bloody sheet metal shears and they would have been the bomb to have in the old garage. But, right, so I'll cut those out and might have to get the old death wheel out for that one. Alright, I've got to transfer my centre line into this piece somehow. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that, but I might cut some little holes, little eye holes in there and just put some dots in there and sketch it in, yeah? Punch would be handy if I had one. Okay, so my little eye holes in there. Draw my little dashes into there. Right, that's my centre line through there. So, what did I decide? I needed to do some stretching or something, eh? I think I need to stretch that edge there, so from around about there to around about there. I'm going to try and stretch that, maybe just with pounding the crap out of it with a hammer on some other metal thing and see what happens. Alright, so discovered that I needed to put my centre line on the inside as well, just so I could sort of see what I was doing in there, and I wrote inside on it, so I would remember that that's the inside. Because now I've got to figure out what I'm doing. That's the outside, and I want to stretch, and it goes that way. I want to stretch that outer edge there, and I kind of want to do it this way. Yeah? Attention. So I'll give it a try. I'm not sure if it's going to work, but alrighty, so just went and had a look around there, and what's kind of happening is it's tipping that way. So what I want to do is shrink this area here. I don't have a shrinking tools and dies and stuff, so I'm going to have to just do the old snip and weld kind of shrinking technique, which isn't really ideal. It's a bit more welding than I wanted to do on this bit, but it is what it is, I guess. So we'll do that and see if we can make it work. This might end up in the scrap pile yet, but we'll see. Alrighty, so this is where we're at. Like that, it doesn't look like it's going to fit, does it? So what my plan is to now start bringing these in like so-ish. Too much. Got too much of a bend on that, so get a bit of straighten out. If this is going to work. Yeah. Getting closer. I want to get a bit more of a 90 on this, around this area here, I reckon. You know what I'm saying? Like it's flaring out too much, which is probably how it's supposed to be, but I want to kind of tuck it a bit more. So I'm kind of close to my shape that I reckon, with a bit more savagery on the hammer and metal and stuff, I can get it pretty close to where it needs to be, and then come back, fit it up again. It looks pretty ruggedy at this stage, but hopefully it'll be alright. Getting there slowly. Then when I try and match it up to this, it just doesn't seem to work. We'll go and have a looky-see here. It's getting to the point where I kind of need to cut out the other stuff. I can't get it to, you know, this here is all kind of in the way now. Just give this a little. Yeah. I'm trying to get this to the point that if I can get this curve right, then that's my kind of benchmark. Yeah, still feels like this here needs to come up, which rather than stretching would mean shrinking it, I guess. Maybe I'll nip a bit out of there and see what happens. Okay, so two pieces, they're pretty close. That curve's almost, you know, pretty much there, I think. And this piece here is almost pretty much there. I'm kind of at the point where I think I might sort of tack it together and see if I can get that kind of final kind of shape-ish going on. But before I go to do that, got to go out, help my ma and pa move some garden thing and vote in our general election. Seems pointless, but yeah, you kind of can't complain if you don't vote, hey? So I'm gonna vote, and then I can just complain about any of them. Complain about the ones I voted for, and then complain about the ones I didn't vote for, because that'll be my right under the free speech while we've still got it. Anyway, I'm going to do some voting. I didn't want to get political. I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to vote for because I'm not sure yet. Be back soon. Yeah, just dropped it on my foot. Pretty sure it landed like that. Okay, so there's my piece. I've got a funny feeling it's got a bit too much curve in it now, but I'll go and have a little look-see and see what she's looking like. Alright, so it's sitting in okay, but I can't get it to sit completely flush because I've still got all this in here, and we've got some kind of big boogery bits of weld on the back of there, which I'm happy with those being there, because they give a bit more integrity to that corner, but means I can't sit that right back because that big chunk of booger there is hitting right there. So I'm kind of pretty close to getting the old zip disc out and cutting this crap out, but I might do a conservative cut to start with, because I'm going to have a seam, I'm going to have a seam that runs down here, I think, and I've got to decide where I'm going to trim off top and bottom, how much I'm going to cut out, and all that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But before I do that, I might go and weld up all those little pleats, because I'm pretty happy with where they're sitting. Some of them I probably didn't even need to cut, but I'll weld them up now anyway, because I'm going to trim back this inner edge somewhat, I think, possibly. I'll weld those up anyway, and we'll have a look from there. Yeah. Oh, did you notice? Got a new belt snapper 1000, and the variable speed thing still works on it, so managed to do all of that power filing without it grenading belts at me, so that was awesome. Okay, so there's my piece made. I won't go too nuts kind of on the roll lock on here yet. I don't want to thin it out too much because I'm going to have to grind back at that edge somewhere in there anyway. This might get trimmed up. This might get trimmed up, you know, quite a way in here yet. I haven't decided where the best place to weld that in is, and I've still got to trim up around the outside, but we'll go and have a look and see how she's going to fit. I welded up that stuff, and I kind of didn't grind it back all the way. I just kind of ground it flush so I could hammer it a little bit from the front. And yeah, so she's a little bit ripply, but there's going to be body filler in this, so don't you worry your pretty little head about it. You understand what I'm saying? Where's my nice one sharp pencil? Time 5 o'clock, running out of day, so we might go and have a look at this. I really should bring my glasses downstairs so I can see what I'm doing. Belt snapper 1000. We're just going to call it the belt file 1000 or something. Now I'd have to make up a new name for it because so far so good. Being able to slow it down and speed it up again makes all the difference. Like before it was just like tuned to full noise, and full noise is what it did. Right, let's go and have a look. Oh, did I just break my pencil? No. Walking. Okay. There's my knees. God, working down low again, you might hear a little bit of that cracking. It's not like earthquakes or anything, it's just my knees. So, you can see what's going on here. So obviously that is going to go back that way once we kind of cut out stuff. And down in here, once stuff's cut out, we'll be able to push that back a bit further and stuff like that. So decisions, like what do we cut out? You know, do I cut this to the shape first, or do I just cut a hole in here, get that sit back, and then trim this up and then trace around it and trim it all up? Because I want a pretty snug, tight fit. Actually, I just better check that that door isn't going to interfere. Just, excuse me. It's not bad. Oh, I've lost my radius there a little bit, but that's okay. I can kind of gives me a little bit of wiggly room to put a little bit of filler in there to kind of get that gap in that bottom corner a bit better. It'll be definitely better. Oh, hopefully, I don't speak too soon. Hopefully it'll be better than what we've got there currently. Yeah. So what do I reckon? So I wonder if I should just trim this and then trim that square. What am I going to do here? What am I going to do? Decisions, man. I don't really know. Let me think about that. With you in a minute. Sorry about that. Right, so made some trim decisions. I'm going to trim a bit off that there and about that there and a little bit off each end. So I'm just going to mark those, run a square on them. I'm just going to square it up. I was thinking of doing rounded corners and all that kind of shit. That didn't really serve me that well last time I tried to do it. Could be my undoing this time, but we shall see. So, let me square. Not really got a super square thing to start with anyways, but go there. Where did I decide to cut there? There. There. And just bought me a new ruler. Just a straight old, good old fashioned ruling device. So they look really cheap. I was quite surprised. I was expecting to, you know, pay $15 or something for a ruler, but it was only about $3. So not bad, eh? Not bad. It's like, I thought that was quite good, you know, in this day and age where everything's like $4 gazillion. I just made that word up, to be fair. It's cutting time. Let that guy away. Get that guy out. Gloves on. Feels like ages since I've done any welding. When I started tacking those pieces on before, I hadn't turned the litres per minute thing up on the TIG welder, and it was sparting and fudding around, and then I dipped the tungsten straight into the wouldn't even call it a puddle, the mess, and I thought, oh no, here we go. Good start, but we turned it around and actually kind of welded up quite nicely for me anyway. So let's do some trimming. Alrighty, so traced around my piece, but I'm gonna weld in there eventually. And so now I'm gonna cut it out. I'm gonna cut a little bit to the inside of my line so I've got room for trimmage. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't wanna cut too much. So let's do it. Get into it. Okay, so trimmed up, well, kind of cut out, I should say. Haven't trimmed it up yet. I'll do most of the trimming, final trimming on this piece, but before I do that, I'm gonna chuck a bit of weld through primer on the back of it. I can get in, excuse me for a minute, I dropped my sandpaper. Oh, found an offcut. I can get in behind this part to a certain degree from the inside, so like a wrapper. So I'm don't have to be too like fastidious with this, sealing it up at this stage, because I will be able to get to it from the inside. You know what I'm saying? I don't see any daylight. That's cool. Oh, is that? I don't know. Right. So squirt some shit on this, and then that's probably it for today. Cool. Shake it, man. Shake it up. Boom. Right. Need to empty my bin again, just for a change. Thought about getting a bigger bin, but then if it gets too big, then it'll just get really heavy and hard to empty. So I'll stick with that little one for now. And yeah, so we'll leave that anyway. Leave that to dry, and get back out here tomorrow, and hopefully weld that little mamma jamma in nicely. We'll endeavour to do anyway. So let's see you tomorrow. Yeah. Alright, so my etch is dry. I've already just kind of trimmed that up, tidied that up a little bit. I'm just going to start with trying to get this back edge to fit snugger. Like, you can see that pencil line, I think I need to file it down to there. So I'm actually going to file it by hand because it's a little bit more conservative at this point. Nearly there. Okay, so I'm pretty much ready to tack this in now. I've kind of got it to, it's hard to kind of hold it all in place. I have to go and grab some magnets and see if I can get that to hold it in there while I sort of tack it and start working my way around it. But essentially, that's it there, ready to tack in. There's a little fitment issue down here where I'm tapping my finger. I'm gonna trim and knock that back when I kind of have got the rest of it kind of fairly rigidly tacked in, hopefully. And I want to do this with the TIG. I know I'm probably asking for trouble because I'm not that good with real fine sheet metal on the TIG. I'm not really that good with the TIG. I glue shit together with it, but I want to get better, and the only way to do it is to do it. And I can get behind most of this to hammer it back if I walk the buggery out of it when I invariably get impatient and spend too much time in one place. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Wish me luck. It's pretty whoop-de-woo around here anyway, so there's going to be filler in this area, that's for sure. So if I kind of do kind of make it like that, then I'll get filler in it. I'd like to be able to do a metal finish and practice, man. I'm just going to practice, and I'm just going to do it. And what better thing to practice on than my project? So hopefully we can make a nice job of it. Let's get some welding apparatus out here and get into it. Alright, I think I'm ready to go. Where's my helmet? Oh God, it's up there. Okay, so that's that hacked in. Kind of didn't get this quite how I would have liked it, but I might be able to kind of hammer that up a bit better once I've kind of got a bit more. Maybe I should hammer it up first. I'll hammer that up first, and then yeah, maybe set about finish tacking that bit in the corner. And yeah, there's a bit one of my tacks didn't take down here. I heard that pop and now I can feel it, so I have to get in there with the old Extend-O-Matic 500C. See? Come in handy and see if I can push that out and hammer that up. Once now that it's kind of rigid around it, that corner's puckered in a little bit. She's a bit high right there, so I'll hammer that. So before I do any more welding, I'll go around, do a bit of hammering, try and flush it out, and hopefully we'll get it in okay. But right now I'm going to shoot out, try and get myself a haircut, kind of clean this shit up a little bit. Yeah, be back soon, hopefully. Yeah. Alrighty, so that's that welded in, ground back, give it a bit of a whiz over with the DA. As you can tell, it's not a metal finish. Yeah, it's a bit hit and miss with me sometimes. Sometimes I can get pretty close, other times it, you know, goes all over the shop. But TIG welding this in, new set of challenges. I've managed to okay, compressor kicks on. Anyway, new set of challenges, kind of TIG welding in this sort of thing. I couldn't actually get in behind here very well at all. I think that might be why it's kind of puckered in from the first kind of work that was done on this, because you kind of can't get in behind it to hammer it out very well. But I'm not too concerned about that. I mean, it's as you've seen if you've been watching this, there's going to be some filler in a few areas of this car, but that's fine. I'm all good with that. But on the whole, though, I am kind of, you know, quite happy with this repair. Well, changing this door jamb thing up, because now my bottom of my door gap is heaps better. Still a little bit high in here. I might get a round kind of hammer and actually knock that down a little bit more. In these areas here, the whole repair kind of steps down a little bit, which again I'm kind of quite happy with that, because it gives me a bit of room to put some glass in and some filler over the top. You know, I'd rather it was a little bit kind of countersunk than sticking out, if you know what I mean, because I should be able to hopefully smooth it out okay-ish, full of confidence. So what I've got to do now is probably rub black stuff all over my nose. Is I'm going to squirt a little bit of etch primer, just they call it an epoxy etch. It's not the same as this kind of white light grey primer. It's I call it black etch, but it's actually grey. Just on the inside of that repair, squirt as much of that around as I can, get it sealed up from the inside behind those welds, and then while that's drying, clean up my mess, and then I'm going to seam seal in behind there. So what I need, airline. Okay, so hang on, I'm just gonna shift, get more comfy. Happy as with that gap now. Like I say, you know, it's not a vile finish. I got a bit of porosity in here. The wind was blowing my gas away, but I'll fill those with epoxy primer and a bit of that new tech as well, just to kind of tidy those up. Got my hair cut, like, it's alright. And but yeah, like, you know, we got issues going on here anyway, so you know, I wasn't really hunting for that file finish. I could keep kind of grinding into this and hammering it and stuff like that, but it's pretty thin. Like, the steel I used is quite thin, this factory steel is quite thin, and so is that, so it was, you know, pretty easy to sort of blow through. So if I start kind of like trying to really flush it out, all I'm going to be left with is tin foil. So I'm happy to leave that little bit of weld layered up there, and then I'll kind of strengthen it up with a bit of new tech over the top, build it up a little bit with that, because this kind of sucks in a bit here. It comes along quite nice and straight, and this sill, the way it was welded on, or you know, whatever, you know, doing this to it, it's kind of puckered it in. I had to cut this off and redo it, so you know, half of this is my mess, you know, like half of it is the previous owner's mess. Probably in hindsight could probably do a better job at that now, but I did have a lot of trouble getting in behind there to kind of try and flush it out and smooth it out, and the patch panel followed a kind of slightly different curve, and this had already been cut out by the previous owner and replacing bits and pieces around the wheel arch and stuff like that, so things kind of weren't exactly where they were originally, but by the time I'm finished, you know, trained eye will know what's going on. This will be down on the ground, and you kind of not even really going to see it. But my biggest thing is I want to make sure everything's sealed up from the inside, so it doesn't just start rusting, if you know what I mean. There's a few, I noticed there's a few pinholes in some of that other older stuff that I'd done. I mean, that was done about 3-4 years ago, some of that shit, so a lot of it was done during the lockdown. I was really short on supplies. I was trying to kind of grind back with worn out flapper discs and shit like that. It was pretty hectic, but I was just trying to keep busy, keep doing, moving forward sort of thing. I could go in there and grind in that some more, but I'm not going to. It's not worth it. I like to, you know, it's good to, I think, leave a little bit of stuff there to help hold the steel together. If you get good penetration, that's fine, but then you start shaving it all off, you end up with not much left, when it's pretty thin. I was surprised how thin the actual factory steel is on this, but I suppose to press these wicked curves and stuff like that out of one piece, you know, or you know, there's multiple pieces there, but you know, to get these curves and get them really nice, I guess the steel has to be thinner. Whereas if they used, like, you know, 1 mil or what is it, 16 gauge, I think this is more like 18 or even 20. Some of it is quite fine, eh? But I don't know what the deal was. It was 1950s. I wasn't there. Might look it, but I wasn't there. But yeah, so once this anyway, so once this door's kind of sitting where it's supposed to sit with rubbers and catches and stuff like that, That gap down there is way better through this area here, because I mean that's what we had before. It's a different kind of ugly, but it's kind of prettier where I need it to be prettier. I just didn't want to kind of start trying to push back those hunky chunks of weld, all that crap in there, and then try to cover that up with bog and stuff, you know, because I don't think it would have worked. Whereas now in the jam itself, it's only going to take a really thin smear just to kind of smooth things out a little bit. Out here, like I said, I'm going to have a bit more going on with the old sanding blocks and stuff like that, but that's alright, I'm happy with that. Yeah, so carry on cleaning up and get some seam sealer in behind there. Probably should go and get a light. I'm having a bit of trouble seeing what I'm doing down in here. Alright, so seam sealed, you know, rough and ready, but seams are sealed. That's kind of the objective of that. Rattle gunning. Yeah, so that's that. Right, next, don't know. I don't really know what I'm going to do next on this thing. I've got a lot of work to do on the rear quarters and that kind of roll pan area. Bit of work to do on this door. I just noticed she's quite ripply down there, but I think that's where there's some lead already in the door on this one. A couple of little whoop-de-woos here and there on this door. Not a big deal. Might try and slapper those up. Don't know if I'll be able to get to those ones out there though, because they're probably, yeah, so they can't really get behind them. There, so they might just get a little bit of old Bondo, but like this one here might be able to kind of bring them up with the hammer and dolly, or a slapper and a dolly. That was my knee, and yeah, so I mean, if I feel like a kind of light week, I could maybe, famous last words, you know, hook into this door, or maybe do some of the stuff, you know, the smalls around, you know, the door jamb and the stuff around the window frame and things like that, you know, littler stuff that I'm not getting overwhelmed on. But I've got to do these quarters at some stage, so do I hook into the big stuff first? I don't know. I'll decide. I'll think about it, and then you guys will find out when I get into it, I guess, you know, when I start doing it. So, I think that's where we'll leave this video, on kind of redoing some of that sort of stuff. Some folk might look at it and kind of go, we didn't really achieve bugger all, you've just got different boogery shit elsewhere. It's harder to see on camera, I guess, but it is better in a lot of ways, and the same in a lot of ways. You know, like this shit here, I didn't really achieve a hell of a lot with that, you know, but it is nicer than what was there. Again, hard to see, but I cleaned up all that kind of crap that was there, that was just gonna give me grief later on. So yeah, it's a win in my book, so it's another little step forward. I'm not really sure why I stalled out at the time. I guess, I don't know, like when I did that, but even when I was sanding this back to get it into epoxy, I seen it there and thought there, and I You know, should do something with that. When I was hanging the doors and trying to gap the doors, I seen it there and I thought I should do something with that. I don't know whether I was just sticking my head in the sand and trying to, and hoping that that hunk of junky weld and stuff would sort of shrink or something, or, you know, get absorbed into the good steel. Didn't happen. Strange, I know, but yeah, it didn't happen. So yeah, but that's where we're going to leave this video. Quite a few new subscribers have come on in the last sort of month or so with a couple of the videos that seem to kind of garner a bit of attention, like the slappers on the roof. I guess that was that clickbait title, maybe kind of grabbed a few people. Not saying that, you know, the new people have come along, but it got a lot of views anyway, but and a few new subscribers. So thanks guys, girls, whoever you may be, and for coming on board and subscribing to the channel. It's cool, awesome. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. You know, I go on and on and on about it, but it's kind of important. Well, sort of. Aside from that, what else do we need to say? We're on Instagram and on Facebook under DMAC Customs on both. Trying to get sort of frequent stuff on there. Usually it's just a little promotional push to say there's a new video coming out right here on the YouTube. Occasionally, if I've got something kind of, you know, if I remember to take photos, which I very rarely do, I'm hopeless at it, I might kind of like put little updates and stuff on just on there. But go over there, like, subscribe, follow, whatever it is you do. There's buttons and stuff, just kind of find them and push them. That'll be cool as well. As the channel grows, might try and get that engagement going a little bit more. I don't know. Time is a real serious factor when you're trying to do this, and, you know, work a job or run a business as I do, and, you know, find time to do this, find time to do stuff around the house, find stuff to hang out with the family, and, you know, do things, go visiting, go and see the olds, help them out with stuff. You know, time is you know, is your most valuable asset, and sometimes you end up doing things with your time that you would rather not be doing. I'm quite happy down here in my little cave toiling away on this by myself. I really need to get out more, trust me. Yeah, I'm getting quite introverted, which is not ideal. Just enough of that kind of jabbering on about my issues. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching. Until next time, take it easy and peace. And subscribe.